here on 5 Live today, we've got North India, which has been battered by floods one more time. Cloudbursts have triggered flash floods in Uttarakhand and Himachal, leaving behind a trail of destruction. Dehradun is in Uttarakhand and Mandi in Himachal are said to be the worst hit. Now let's tell you first what's happening in Dehradun. The heavy water current destroyed houses and roads, washing away cars and shops, taking it away with them. The NDRF and the SDRF teams are carrying out relief and rescue operations in these affected areas. Those are the streets of Dehradun today. In Himachal Pradesh, let's cut to that. Heavy rains lashed out in Dharampur town in Mandi, sweeping away vehicles, causing widespread destruction. Debris choked key areas, also adding to the chaos. This is the same area which in the first time around also had seen massive flooding. And even before they could recover from that, there is a second round of flooding. Take a look at this detailed report for more.
ये रात को 10 बजे घटना हुई है। एक वाले पड़ा काली गार्ड में और एक पड़ा ऊपर बांग खाले में।
The hills in North India are facing a massive flood fury. States of Uttarakhand and Himachal are battling immense deluge. Multiple deaths have been reported in Himachal, while at least 2 people are reportedly missing in Dehradun. The hill states have seen extensive damage to key bridges and arterial roads. The rains leaving behind a trail of destruction, with multiple locations reported to be underwater. The Tapkeshwar Mahadev temple in Uttarakhand's Dehradun has suffered extensive damage after the Tamsa river, which got swollen by torrential rains and a cloudburst, inundated the temple premises. In Uttarakhand, late-night strong rains in the Sahasradhara area of Dehradun flooded hotels and shops, with the main market suffering structural damages.
You can see that behind David Hotel, there's another building which was also devastated after the flash flood struck the Sahasradhara area last night. And according to locals, there were 2 incidents of cloudburst, which has caused flash flood, and the Sahasradhara river is also flowing in spate right now. Clearly visible over here, the building is quite sensitive and can fall any point in time if there's another struck of calamity or if there's another pressure. It may cause the building to fall and completely merge in the river, and this is going to be very devastating.
Torrential rains from a cloudburst in Sahasradhara in Dehradun triggered landslides. Heavy downpours destroyed houses, washed away cars, and inundated shops in the hilly region. Many have been stranded.
यहाँ पर आर पार जाना भी बहुत मुश्किल भरा काम है और काफी जोखिम भरकर लोग जो हैं जा रहे हैं। यहाँ पर एक पूरा क्षेत्र जो है मलबे में तब्दील हो गया है और यहाँ पर लोग मौजूद हैं, इंतजार कर रहे हैं कि किस तरह से ये पूरा रास्ता क्लियर हो, वो अपने घर जा सकें। ये देखिए पूरा जो पानी है वो उफान पर बह रहा है और इस रास्ते को पार करना लगभग असंभव है क्योंकि पूरी तरीके से ये नदी में तब्दील हो चुका है।
3 people of a family were killed in Himachal Pradesh's Mandi district. Flood waters inundated the Dharampur bus stand, sweeping away several Himachal Road Transport Corporation buses. Traffic has been disrupted on at least 500 roads across the state. The Met Department has announced a red alert for the next 24 hours and has ordered schools to remain closed. With Ankit Sharma in Dehradun, Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's cut across live to Ankit Sharma, my colleague who brought you that report over there. Ankit, it's extremely hard to make sense of what exactly is happening in Uttarakhand and Himachal. There was a first round of flooding, then the second, this is, if I'm not wrong, the third round of flooding that has taken place. And what you see flown behind or flown away is somebody's house, somebody's connection to school, somebody's hospital, somebody's livelihood. इतना ये जो डिस्ट्रक्शन हुआ है, कितने साल पीछे कर दिया है इसने देहरादून, उत्तराखंड जैसे एरियाज को?
Well, absolutely, Sonal. Uttarakhand is facing horrors of monsoon, we can say. And in one of the episodes of Horrors of Monsoon, from Dharali to Tharali in Chamoli and now Dehradun, the uh, cyclonic events of monsoon clouds, we can see how they have caused the fury in Dehradun's Sestadhara, Tapkeshwar Mahadev Temple and Maldevta. Now these were some of the areas which received heavy rainfall. Now IMD has once again said that this is not the case of cloudburst. However, people who were eyewitnesses, who were the locals who have faced the fury, was saying that there were 3 or 4 incidents of cloudburst in Maldevta and Sesadhara area. And let me tell you that Sesadhara's Manjara and Kaligad areas suffered major impacts. However, the people were alerted earlier, so they evacuated in time. However, 3 or 4 people are still believed to be under the debris of the structure which collapsed after the cloudburst. Now, moving to Tapkeshwar, we saw that every year Tamsa Nadi takes a ravaging event and how the river collapses parts of Tapkeshwar Mahadev temple. But this is the first time in many years that we saw that the Tamsa river completely entered the cave of Lord Shiva. For thousands of years, Lord Shiva has been, and this has been an abode for Lord Shiva's, and people have been thronging to this temple and worshipping their river god. And this is the first time in monsoon in many, many years, according to the locals, that such an event has taken place. And now moving to the Maldevta as well, the road of 100-meter which connects Maldevta was completely washed out, and people have been cut from the mainstream areas, and more than 25 villages have been cut off. There are now, the numbers are now coming in, and it says that more than 10 people might have feared dead, but the authorities are yet to confirm. And once they confirm, we will also update our viewers, and we would also like to
Sure.
appeal our viewers that please do not go near the rivers, because this is going to be continue for the next 24 to 48 hours. It's going to be very crucial for Uttarakhand weather, and specifically near the rivulets and the riverbeds and the flood areas where the
Got it.
rivers have taken a larger area and have completely engulfed the cultivation and have returned to their original path. According to the elderlies, they also say that in the last 10 to 15 years, they have never seen such kind of devastation so far. Sonal.
Last 10 to 15 years, a devastation of this kind has not been seen. In the past 10 years, rainfall of this magnitude has not been seen either. And reclaiming their original path. Now, that's interesting. Let's pick it up with our guest as well. Thanks, Ankit, for joining us. Dr. Vishwas is with us. He's a fellow in Council on Energy, Environment and Water, CEEW. Dr. Vishwas, help me understand this a little bit. Every year, we see flooding in Uttarakhand and Himachal. This time around, even just when we thought that monsoon has passed, the worst is perhaps over. What we saw in Punjab, then in Uttarakhand, Himachal, even Jammu for that matter, we just thought that it's about getting over. Then a fresh sort of burst of cloud burst, you can call it, or rainfall has caused the entire situation to get complicated again. Do we have an understanding on why 2025 has been this year of massive, massive rainfall?
Yeah, thank you, Sonal, for having me on the show. So I think this year IMD had anyways forecasted that it's going to be an above normal monsoon of say 106% long period average, which means that it was anyways going to get very heavy rainfall this year. But what is very important is to understand that there is this erraticness of rainfall that identifies within season variation. So month by month, how the variation has come in, and we can very clearly see that initially we were seeing floods in say Mumbai, parts of western coast, etc. Then eventually Punjab, and then also now Uttarakhand, etc. But also the forecast is that I mean there is still a lot of rain to come in the later half of September, and that's likely to occur in the eastern parts of India. So I think we will need to prepare for that. But we studied the patterns of changes in Indian monsoon, and that report was published last year, where we
Yeah.
looked at that nearly 55% tehsils, sub-districts in India, witnessed an increase in rainfall in last 10 years compared to the 30 years before that. And even when we look at this increasing pattern, what is more important is to look at is nearly 64% sub-districts experienced an increase in frequency of heavy rainfall events. Like, these are across various states. But also, what is more important is it's nearly two-third of India's landscape, India's sub-districts
Yeah.
that are experiencing increasing pattern in heavy rainfall days. So, which is a stark, like a kind of discovery. We had seen heavy rainfall
Hmm.
events increasing massively in Rajasthan, Gujarat, and many parts of northwestern India.
Hmm.
So, I mean, this is the new science that is coming out of it. I think we will have to look at how do we address it.
Talking about the same report, I found another statistic which is quite fascinating. It says that 64% of Indian tehsils experienced an increase in the frequency of heavy rainfall days in the past decade during the southwest monsoon. But this pattern is prominent in tehsils or states with the highest GDPs. It goes on to say that Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, and Karnataka being one of them. So, is this for the
Yes.
first time we are drawing a very direct correlation between higher GDP translating into higher development, translating into higher infrastructure, technical development over there, and that having higher rainfall? Is that parallel to be drawn?
To some extent, yes. I mean, of course, these are some of the states where economic growth is happening since many years, and that's where the exposure, meaning that the number of people that live in these kind of states is also higher compared to other states. And the economic activities leading to industrialization, leading to development activities, all of it comes together. But also, if we look at the fact that some of these states are located on the coasts, and especially the changing pattern that what we are seeing is western coast of India is getting wetter day by day as it comes in the last 10 years, and future projections also suggest that the western coast of India, Rajasthan, Gujarat, parts of Maharashtra, Karnataka are going to receive much more rainfall in future under various climate change scenarios as well. So that's where, I mean, it is linked with of course industrial development, etc., but also being located on the coast and on the
Yeah.
western coast especially, where the rainfall is coming to be very high.
Right. Dr. Vishwas, a lot of criticism goes in the way of IMD to not give us very accurate results of late. We knew, you're right, that this will be an earlier monsoon. We knew that there will be a higher monsoon, but perhaps did nobody get a whiff of the fact that this is going to be such an intense monsoon, one that will sort of wipe away GDPs, wipe away development, wipe away homes and livelihoods of people for a long time to come?
I think, see, it's, I mean, it's not definitely not to blame IMD, but the science of climate prediction is very complicated, and especially when it comes to hilly states like Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand. I think the predictions overall, it's not only about India. Overall, we see that the predictions, projections of climate data are fairly complex compared to the regions which are plains, like say Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Gujarat, etc., where there are not many hills. So in these places, the challenge is that the climate models are not able to really predict very well the near-term and long-term forecast, and that's one of the challenges. But also, if we look at the observation network, like how many places in which hilly states have the actual rainfall observation stations, which actually feed into the climate models, is also very scarce. So I think all in all, what we have to look at is India has this monsoon mission under which there are various, say, Doppler weather radars, high precision radars, etc., are being implemented. So if we really want to enhance our climate projections and a near-term forecast in the hilly states of India, I think we will have to look at how do we intensify the network of radars, weather
Got it.
observation radars,
I
etc.
have last 30 seconds, and I quickly want to get this, Dr. Vishwas, out of the way. A lot of people we speak to, even what Ankit was pointing out, a reporter on the ground, say that conventionally These are, your grandmothers at this point are saying this was the original route that seems to have been reclaimed by the rivers. Could you make sense of that for me? What does that mean?
I think, see, in Indo-Gangetic plains and also in the Himalayan foothills, there are many such places where rivers tend to take different routes, and then they tend to come back also based on the landscape, etc. I think what is more important here is to look at mapping of existing risks. That is a key issue here. I think if we know that, okay, this is a route where the river used to be there, and we are building a lot of infrastructure settlements there, I think
Of
the
course.
risk is very high. So this mapping of risks is very important, and especially to ensure that the critical infrastructure sectors, like say power, healthcare, and transportation, at least does not get impacted during the time of disasters. So at least these kind of methodologies have to be brought in, and local scale mapping of risks, gram panchayat level mapping of risk, etc. We will have to ensure that it happens.
That's a good point there. Thank you, Dr. Vishwas, for joining us with all those details. We wait to see what happens next. Tail end of the monsoon, but it's stinging all over, especially in Uttarakhand, today morning at least. News updates coming in where a big confession by Pakistani Deputy Prime Minister has been made. Pakistan has admitted that India refused third-party role in ceasefire talks. Ishaq Dar has made a statement saying that ceasefire offer came through US, but India did not agree. He also went on to say that India categorically made this issue a bilateral one, saying that US President Donald Trump's claimed credit for India-Pakistan ceasefire might not be true, as India said that it will continue to be a bilateral issue and no third-party sort of interjection or third-party talks and roles has been denied. All right, let's cut across to my colleague Shivani Sharma joining us live from Delhi now. Shivani, this is for the first time that we've got a statement from the Pakistani side saying very clearly that there was no role played by the US or the President Donald Trump there in the bilaterals between India and Pakistan.
See, Sonal, we need to understand one thing, that India has always rejected any third-party interference when it comes to Kashmir issue. And what the Foreign Minister of Pakistan was mentioning right now, that he seeks a dialogue, a comprehensive one that also includes Kashmir issue. So there's no question of a dialogue or a debate on Kashmir issue. That's what India has been very clear about. India and the Prime Minister, the Defense Minister, and several top officials of the Indian Armed Forces, they told categorically that how the ceasefire understanding was met. It was the action against terror camps, the action against Pakistani Air Force, the action against Pakistan that brought them onto knees. And just in 4 days, they were asking and they were pleading for a ceasefire understanding. So whatever Pakistan or Pakistan's minister say, it's actually laughable. I was listening to him and he was saying Pakistan is a peace-loving country. You and me and all Indians, we all know. And even on the global forum, people know how peace-loving Pakistan is. So peace and Pakistan are poles apart. Whatever is being said is just another lie and a propaganda by Pakistan.
All right, Gaurav Sawant also joins us for the very latest on this. Gaurav, make sense of these statements, please. What does this mean? We understand that Pakistan and US are also going to get into a conversation very soon. But at this point, what is this? Is this a goof up by Pakistan? They didn't want this bit to come out? Or what exactly are they trying to play here with making these statements?
So this is a statement which is a fact, and this does embarrass US President Donald Trump, because India had insisted there is no third-party mediation when it comes to Jammu and Kashmir. Whether it's Donald Trump in the United States of America or Xi Jinping in China, several world leaders have tried to intervene and said that they're happy to mediate, or they're willing to mediate, or they want to mediate. And India has categorically said, especially after 1971 war and the Simla agreement, that Jammu and Kashmir is a bilateral issue and it will be decided, between India and Pakistan. That's point one. There's also a caveat that in a terror-free environment, that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has made very clear, any dialogue with Pakistan can only be in a terror-free environment, and for that Pakistan has to stop terror. So this is Pakistan's Deputy Prime Minister. He's conceding that Pakistan had approached the United States of America. He'd had a conversation with Marco Rubio. He wanted America to intervene, but Marco Rubio came back to him and told him India doesn't want any third-party mediation. India wants it to be bilateral. So now Pakistan is saying we are okay with bilateral, but it has to be comprehensive. And India is very clear. Pakistan has to stop terror first. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has repeatedly said, "Goli bari ke beech, baatcheet sunai nahi deti." So Pakistan has to take action against India-centric terror for dialogue, but it's a major shot in the arm for India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the floor of the House had said there was no third-party intervention, despite Donald Trump 30 times, 40 times, 50 times. You and I have lost count the number of times he said that he got that ceasefire. The fact remains, America had no role to play, at least in talking to India. India had said it has to be bilateral.
Got it. But Gaurav, this is perhaps the first time India and Pakistan are actually saying the same thing. This is perhaps for the first time that we both agree on something that actually happened. Just help us understand, what does US or perhaps Donald Trump even gain by making claims like these, especially in the environment that we are in right now, in middle of trade wars, in middle of war over, oil. I mean, all of this going on. What does this mean?
So Donald Trump wants a Nobel Prize. He's desperate for a Nobel Prize, and he tried everything under the sun to get one. He said, before I get into the White House, I'll get Russia and Ukraine to stop fighting. He's failed in that. He thought India-Pakistan is low-hanging fruit. I was reporting from G7 summit in Caracas in Canada. That's the time that Donald Trump made that phone call to Prime Minister Narendra Modi and said, why don't you stop by and let's meet at the White House. Now, that's the time that Asim Munir was already there. Donald Trump was looking for a photo op that he got the Indian Prime Minister and the Pakistani Army Chief to shake hands. India was wiser, and India said, no, there's already an engagement in another country. The Prime Minister has to go there, meet the head of state before he comes back home. So he didn't go to America, and that's what got Donald Trump very angry. He thought that, his Nobel Prize is slipping away. No peace between Russia, Ukraine, no peace between Israel, Iran, and Hamas. And then between India and Pakistan, India has made it very clear he had no role to play. A military dictator who virtually usurped power in Pakistan, elevated himself to the rank of a field marshal despite losing war, nominated him for a Nobel Prize. And Donald Trump, thought that if India also nominates me for a Nobel Prize, he may get one. But Prime Minister Narendra Modi keeps India first and said, no, you had no role to play, which is now being borne out even from the conversation that happened between Ghulam Akhdar, the Deputy Prime Minister of Pakistan, with the television network.
Gaurav, now listening to those statements one more time, one can't, help but notice a couple of things that are being said here. One, that Pakistan is a peace-loving country. Second, that it takes two to tango. Third, he's saying that we wanted dialogue, we are happy to talk to anyone. And they actually had received that offer from the US. He's saying they did not approach the US. The US secretary then called him up and said that, let's do this conversation. To which Pakistan agreed, but very clearly when that same phone call came to India, we said, hold on, this is our issue and we will sort it out.
Sonal, you're absolutely right. So just look at two things here which are very, very significant. One, India did not seek any ceasefire or third-party mediation. America sought to intervene. In fact, conversations, if you recall, as both External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and Prime Minister Narendra Modi have repeatedly said, conversations were happening at multiple levels. Various world leaders were in touch with India and with Pakistan, whether it's Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, or the United States of America. India did not seek it. Pakistan was seeking some way to de-escalate, because by the 10th morning, Pakistan was in trouble. By 10th morning, Pakistan, a nuclear weapon state, Sonal, was down on its knees because 11 of their air bases, 9 terrorist training camps and launch pads and 6 radar stations had been decimated, and India was going to launch a bigger wave of attack had Pakistan not sought that ceasefire. So when America and when J.D. Vance spoke to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, when Marco Rubio spoke to External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar, India just made one point. If they want ceasefire, they have to contact us. It has to be their DGMO to our DGMO. They seek ceasefire. We fire the last round. That's exactly what happened. India fired the last round on the 10th, got those 11 air bases down. Pakistan sought ceasefire, and that's where the temporary pause in Operation Sindoor happened. no US role in that ceasefire, a point that India has repeatedly made. And Ishaq Dar now confirms that it couldn't have come for a worse time for Donald Trump. It couldn't have come at a better time for India, because this is the time when the next round of dialogue is currently happening in Delhi, the trade talks. The US team is here in India, and India, as always, stands tall, firm on trade, firm on national security. That's the message that India has been able to convey despite all the questions that were raised in multiple fora.
Right. Gaurav, you know, this is also perhaps not the first time that a minister in Pakistan has gone ahead to sort of speak the truth plainly, only to embarrass themselves, of course, but speak the truth plainly. Earlier on, you'll remember that the statements were made about how Pakistan has been doing the dirty job of USA for a while. Now statements like these, every time you see a Pakistani minister speak with a foreign media, you see a lot of truth being spilled out, but none of it somehow gets recognized by the US. Would that be fair to understand at this point?
So there are two things here. You're absolutely right. The United States has actually used Pakistan, and used Pakistan very extensively. It's almost like a use and throw mechanism for them. When they wanted to use Pakistan against the Soviets in Afghanistan, they used Pakistan. When they wanted a major inroad into this South Asian region and to keep an eye on China, that was soon after independence. So that's where Pakistan became a frontline ally for the United States of America. And even now, all that Donald Trump is trying to do is use Pakistan to checkmate India. And so far, he hasn't succeeded. That's because India is standing firm. Now, on the points that Pakistan is making, that we fight your dirty wars, something that the defense minister, Khwaja Asif, said to Sky News in that interview post-op Sindoor, it's actually a fact. Pakistan has done all the dirty work. But it's also gotten away with murder and terror because of that dirty work that it did. And India hasn't so emphatically made its point globally like it did when you let the BrahMos do all the talking. You see, nobody respects the meek and the weak. When your BrahMos talk, the world listens.
Yeah. Right. Gaurav, just hold on for a minute. We've also now pulled out the previous comments of the Prime Minister Modi, when he had confirmed that there was no foreign hand at all. Listen in to what the Prime Minister had said then.
दुनिया के किसी भी नेता ने भारत के ऑपरेशन रोकने के लिए नहीं कहा। दुनिया के किसी भी नेता ने भारत के ऑपरेशन रोकने के लिए नहीं कहा।
So what's the bottom line here? India has been saying repeatedly that there was no foreign hand. Now, Pakistan has also come out to say that actually any mediation was denied by India, saying that it is a bilateral issue. Only India and Pakistan will sort it out. In all of this, it has been a huge embarrassing moment for US. What exactly is Donald Trump thinking and claiming? Well, that's a story that will take a while to be sorted out. Now, a fierce debate is unfolding in Indian healthcare. Not over treatment methods, but over who gets to use the title of doctor. Now, legally, MBBS, BDS, Ayurveda, homeopathy, Unani graduates can prefix their names with doctor. But physiotherapists, nurses, and sort of other health professionals remain excluded, despite similar years of study, similar years of experience, sometimes even more hands-on experience. The Health Ministry recently put out that physiotherapists are not doctors, sparking an outrage. Remember, dentists once fought and won their right to the title. Practitioners of Ayush, that is Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, and Siddha, homeopathy, continue to use the title, though their inclusion has often been questioned by allopathic peers. Now, in a healthcare system this diverse, what's in the name? Doctor Who isn't just a prefix. It's power, prestige, and identity. And the fight over the white coat, well, that continues. Here's a report to take you through all the details.
What's in a name? You may think maybe lot more than one would think. What's in a title then? Clearly a lot. Or else the government of India, the Union Health Ministry, would not have had to come in and issue a notification on the title of the doctor, the prefix DR or doctor. Recently, the Health Ministry wrote a notification, a letter by the Director General of Health Services to the Indian Medical Association saying that physiotherapists are not trained as medical doctors and therefore should not use the prefix doctor as it misleads patients and general public, potentially leading to quackery. The letter further added that physiotherapists should work on referral from doctors, not as primary care providers. Basically, the word of advice is, if doctors say patients need physiotherapy, then they do, but you may not necessarily go to a physiotherapist without your doctor's advice. The ministry also pointed out that courts and medical councils have repeatedly ruled against the use of DR or doctor by a physiotherapist. Judgment from the Patna High Court 2003, Bengaluru Court 2020 and Madras High Court 2022, as well as advisories from the Tamil Nadu Medical Council indicate the same. The title, without a recognized medical degree, is actually a violation of the Indian Medical Degrees Act 1916 and could invite legal action. This was enough to set the cat among the pigeons. See how the internet reacted. The liver doc is pointing towards a larger crisis here, showing how doctors practicing alternative medicine like Ayurveda, naturopathy, Unani also ought not to be using the title doctor. The fight over who gets to be called a doctor in India isn't really new. For decades, the Medical Council of India, now replaced by the National Medical Commission, insisted the title should belong only to those with an MBBS or higher degree in modern medicine. But other councils had their say too. The Central Council for Indian Medicine permits Ayurveda, BAMS and homeopathy BHMS practitioners to use DR. And in 2017, dentists had to push back and some hospitals and insurers refused to recognize their right to the title as well. In India, doctor isn't just a job description. It signals authority, respect and social standing, which is exactly why every profession wants clarity on whether the title is theirs to claim. In New Delhi, Sneha Mordani for India Today Television.
All right, let's bring it up and open it to our guests now. Dr. Parmeshwar Arora, MD in Ayurveda and consultant at ATH Ayurveda Gurgaon is with us. Hi. Also with us is Dr. Ishwar Gilada. He's a consultant in infectious disease. He's the MBBS doctor. Dr. Parmeshwar Arora is the Ayurveda doctor. Let me give the first word to the MBBS doctor to try and understand. So, a lot has been said about the name. But the debate is not just about physiotherapy being excluded. The debate has become much larger about who gets to be called a doctor in the first place. What is your sort of understanding on this? Does anybody who's not done MBBS not qualified?
Thank you very much for having me on the show. First and foremost, because doctor degree is important, therefore those who are not doctor, they also want to put doctor. And that is important because it's a hard-earned degree. So the doctor degree is reserved and to be used only for those which are allopaths, which are done in a modern medicine. All other practitioners, they have their own designations. Like Ayurveda person, they have Ayurveda Acharya. Homeopath, they have homeopath. Unani, they have Hakim. So they are different. Why they don't want to use somebody else's designation, which is to be earned through a particular course of medicine. Secondly, if you are not doctor and putting yourself as doctor, and then you are practicing the same allopathy, which is you are not trained for, then it is a malpractice or a crosspathy, which is not allowed. And thirdly, people in India, many of them are illiterate, they do not understand the difference. Almost 40 years before, I made a survey of all these degrees, and the homeopathy, Siddha, Unani, naturopathy, One of them was CTBH. I asked him, what is CTBH? He said, compounder for 3 years in Bombay hospital. So using doctor, writing CTBH, I think we are misguiding people, and this kind of cross-pathy should be stopped. This kind of wrong designation being used by those which are not qualified to use, that should be stopped.
Dr. Parmeshwar Arora, very quickly to you then. A lot of people will say then, and let me put out some of those statements. Many, including the liver doc, who's very popular online, has taken it up as a crusade really to say that Ayurveda is not medicine, to say homeopathy does not work. To statements like these, because this entire order against physiotherapy has opened up the floodgates to any alternate medicine now. So what's your view?
So what do you think? Ayurveda does not work, or homeopathy does not work, or Unani does not work? Ma'am, see, Ayurveda is the mainstream treatment line of Indian public in general, and मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि सदियों से हमारे देश की जो चिकित्सा पद्धति है वो आयुर्वेद है। आज कुछ वर्षों में एलोपैथ सामने आई है, लेकिन इसका बिल्कुल मतलब नहीं है कि आयुर्वेद काम नहीं करती, आयुर्वेद प्लेसिबो है। हमारे डॉक्टर साहब बैठे हैं, इनके मेरे ख्याल से पेरेंट्स ने, इनके ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स ने आयुर्वेद से ही सब कुछ ट्रीटमेंट लिया होगा, और होम्योपैथिक भी काम करती है, यूनानी भी काम करती है। एंड इट्स डॉक्टर वर्ड पे जो आप फाइट कर रहे हैं, डॉक्टर का मतलब क्या होता है? डॉक्टर का मतलब है चिकित्सक, जो चिकित्सा करे। तो ये बताइए कि अब बात आज जो फिजियोथेरेपिस्ट के लिए आप डिसीजन दिखा रहे थे, बात थी ट्रेनिंग की। तो आप आयुर्वेद डॉक्टर्स की ट्रेनिंग कैसे हो रही है? क्या वो नीट क्वालिफाई नहीं कर रहे हैं? क्या हमने पीएमटी अपने टाइम पे नहीं दिया? उसके बाद क्या 4.5 साल पढ़ने के बाद 1 साल का इंटर्नशिप जैसा एलोपैथ में होता है, ऐसा नहीं हुआ? क्या हमारी 3 साल की एमडी नहीं है? तो जब ट्रेनिंग सेम है, हाँ, वी बिलोंग टू डिफरेंट स्ट्रीम्स, लेकिन इसका क्या मतलब है हम चिकित्सा नहीं करते? आपके हिसाब से तो ये हो गया कि हम डॉक्टर है ही नहीं, हम चिकित्सक है ही नहीं। अच्छा,
नहीं,
इससे
मेरे
क्या
हिसाब
फर्क
से
पड़ता है
नहीं
अगर
डॉक्टर
आयुर्वेदिक
अरोड़ा।
नहीं?
मेरे हिसाब से नहीं. I just want to say I do personally think that there is a lot of wisdom in years of experience that has been passed on by generations. There is now, and the West only wakes up to it much later. But the prefix of doctor, instead of getting fixated with that, I think we also need to be very clear about who are these people who are calling themselves even physios. A lot of physios with zero knowledge are doing more destruction than actually good, right? So very quickly, last word, Dr. Parmeshwar Arora, then I have to wrap up.
नहीं, देखिए, फिजियोथेरेपिस्ट की जहाँ तक बात है, योगी जो लोग योगा कर रहे हैं उनकी बात है, उनकी ट्रेनिंग वैसी नहीं हुई है जैसे बीएएमएस डॉक्टर्स की या बीएचएमएस डॉक्टर्स की या बीयूएमएस डॉक्टर की हुई है या एमबीबीएस की। आप देखिए, ट्रेनिंग पूरा 5.5 साल, एमडी पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन 3 साल, उससे क्या फर्क पड़ता है? अगर मैं वैद लिखना, मैं लिखता हूँ एमडी आयुर्वेद, वो लिखते हैं एमडी होम्योपैथ, लिख रहे हैं डॉक्टर। अब होम्योपैथ डॉक्टर क्या लिखेगा?
You said yoga practitioner and physio in one breath, and I think
not
that's also
trained,
wrong. That's like a
their
separate...
training is in a different fashion. Their training is
Yes.
not like BMS. They are not have to pass PMT or NEET test. So उनके लिए क्या डिसीजन है वो मुझे नहीं मालूम, लेकिन मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि देखिए, नाम से क्या फर्क पड़ता है? डॉक्टर मतलब चिकित्सक, चाहे वो आयुर्वेद को बिलोंग कर रहा है, चाहे वो होम्योपैथ को बिलोंग कर रहा है, चाहे वो यूनानी को बिलोंग कर रहा है। बीडीएस के लिए क्या कहेंगे? मुझे डॉक्टर साहब बताएं कि बीडीएस जिन्होंने किया है, जो डेंटल सर्जरी कर रहे हैं, वो डॉक्टर लिखने के अधिकारी है कि नहीं है? ये बता दें बस।
I think it's a clear debate. It's a clear debate and one that really ignites emotions. But I think there is a lot in the name, and it should be given that importance. We should be very particular about who gets to actually use that name, and there should be action against those who are using it falsely. I'm afraid that's all the time we have today on 5 Live. Thank you so much for joining in. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.